a new crowd-funded investigative journalism project, breaks the exclusive story of how the United States intelligence community funded, nurtured and incubated Google as part of a drive to dominate the world through control of information.
We have 3 companies that own 75% of the circulation of the British press. We have a monopoly in satellite television with Rupert Murdoch's B-Sky B, which is controlled effectively by News Corp. So we don't have the kind of democracy we need in the media, and everyone is shortchanged by that.
Everybody wants to know how his texts are signed off.
Occasionally he would sign them off LOL, lots of love.
This is the Leveson inquiry, and it was a shocking day. Mr Hunt was the Culture Secretary, he was in charge of the bid for B-Sky B, and yet his office was giving information all the way through to the Murdochs.
There's been a tendency for News International confusing its own commercial interest with public interest. If it's a celeb, we can get into their medical records, let's do it.
If you don't like something, or you have a political or commercial tie to something and you're benefiting from that alliance, you'll do what you need to do to protect that.
The BBC could not have broken that story. So I think we're allowing to get into the ether almost a sort of inevitability of, MP's expenses was bound to come out. It was actually a very, very risky venture by the Telegraph, and a very brave venture by the Telegraph. And they could just as easily, as other newspapers had done, as the BBC would have done, have self-censored it, and that information might not then have come out.
And twice now, we've had totally partisan coverage, and then the last editor of The Standard gets a job with Boris Johnson. If this isn't corruption, tell me what is.
The Royal Charter effectively is setting up a new form of self-regulation. It is a form of self-regulation that is dealing with the abuse of press power. And of course the great irony is that the reaction by the press has been one of hysteria. So when press power is attacked, then you find press power being mobilised to undermine it.
This is not just Murdoch press.
This is well beyond the Murdoch press. This is other very powerful voices.
I think you have a danger of regulating, putting in regulations in place, which will mean there'll be no press in 10 years to regulate.
A study of the 2 weeks around Colin Powell giving his address at the UN for war looked at the 4 major nightly newscasts, ABC, NBC, CBS, and the PBS NewsHour with Jim Lehrer. Of the 393 interviews done around war, only 3 were with anti-war representatives. Now, this was at a time when about half the population was opposed to the invasion, wanting more inspections and diplomacy. So that did not reflect mainstream America at all.
No, but where is it written that it is a journalist's responsibility to go check the polls every day and see what mainstream America wants them to do?
But 3 of almost 400 interviews with anti-war representatives, that is so skewed to the pro-war voice.
Look, I agree with you.
If 70% of the media take one perspective because they're institutionally or structurally inclined to, well, that's just basically propaganda, isn't it?